All right, you've seen the stickers, you've seen the posts on social media, but is Idaho actually full? Let's find out. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the notifications bell. That'll keep you up to date on all of our latest content. Our team, we get calls, texts, and emails every single day from people just like you trying to learn more about North Idaho. And if you're looking to move right now or 12 months from now, give us a call, text, or email. We can help you with that. All right, this question comes up quite a bit. You see it in the comments on Facebook groups. You see it in the comments on our YouTube channel. You see the stickers in the back of cars. Idaho's full. Well, we're not alone. There's a lot of other states going through the same thing. But today's video, I'm going to break it down for you and give you some numbers and some of my personal experiences here in North Idaho, kind of answer that question for you. You know, is there still room, or did you miss the boat? It's no secret, Idaho's population has grown tremendously in the last few years. Housing prices have also grown tremendously in the last few years. It's one of the hot spots in the U.S. for conservative people to move. So I've got some good numbers on that, so we'll break that down a little bit today. But I also do want to point out that, you know, we're not alone in this problem. If it's a problem, maybe it's not. We're not alone, right? Tennessee, all these big conservative states are going through the same thing. You know, Tennessee's going through it. Montana is definitely going through it. Wyoming, all the hot spots that a lot of conservative people are kind of relocating to are going through this same growth. So we're not alone in that. If you go to Montana, you're going to see stickers on the back of cars that say Montana's full. All the same stuff, right? But that is the topic of today's video. First, let's jump into some of the population boom, and I'll give you some numbers on that that'll kind of break it down for you. All right, so from 2010 to 2020, Idaho's population increased by approximately 278,000 people. That's a 17% growth rate compared to the national growth rate of 7% during that same period. Big jump in 2020 to 24. State's population grew from 1,839,000 to just a hair over 2 million in 2024, which is an 8.8% increase. So in that 4 years, the population jumped up quite a bit. And that's really the most noticeable growth because the home prices went up, probably 40% at one point and then back down a little bit. So I'd say we're up 30 to 35% since before 2020, which is a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people. Bummer if you missed the boat. Most of us did. But you know, keep in mind that home prices went up everywhere. Maybe not as much, but they did go up everywhere. So if you do own a home in another state and you're thinking about moving here, you didn't entirely miss the boat because your home there has gone up in value quite a bit as well. So it's kind of a wash, something to keep in mind. But looking at that population, I mean, even being over 2 million, it's still a pretty small population. So how's that shake out per square mile? Because that's a big question for a lot of people. Like, how dense is the population of Idaho? We're not a huge state. We're not super small either. Okay, here we go. Idaho's population density, it's relatively low compared to other U.S. states. As of 2023, so I'm backing up a little bit here just to get the correct numbers, Idaho's estimated population of 1,964,726 residents covers an area of approximately 83,569 square miles. That results in a population density of about 23.5 people per square mile. Okay, here's the catch. Idaho is 60% public land. That's about 25,700 square miles. That puts the population density, if you use the population and the actual square miles of where people can live, that is not public land, 78 people per square mile. Obviously, that depends on where you live, but on average, that's what you're looking at here. I think that makes Idaho, the 7th least densely populated state in the U.S. I imagine Alaska is number 1. Not sure about the others, but still not bad. Fun fact, Ada County, which is where Boise is, down in southern Idaho, population density is of 504 people per square mile. So all of Ada County, 504 people per square mile. North Idaho is probably on the lower side, of course, depending on where you live. So, you know, if you are bouncing between moving to Boise or moving north, that may be a factor for you. And maybe you like more density because often that includes more services, more restaurants. Okay, so where are all of these people coming from? There are the obvious ones, right? You got California, Oregon, and Washington, the cows. But also we've got Texas, Oregon, the East Coast. We've had clients from the Carolinas, Florida, New York. I would say the common denominator, and some people don't believe this, but this is 100% been our experience as a real estate team. Most of our clients that are moving here from out of state, in fact, all of our clients so far have been very conservative. You will see, I'll call them myths on the internet, people stating that, liberals are moving to Idaho and destroying it. That has not been my personal experience here in North Idaho. Now, that may be different down in the Boise area. The one county that voted blue in Idaho, out of all the other counties that were red, was not Ada County, but the county next to it. I don't remember the name of it, but that is a thing down there, a little bit more than it is up here. Now, I know there are some here. You'll hear stories of them trying to get on school boards, and you'll see the occasional Kamala Biden stickers out and about, but it's pretty darn rare up here, and our personal experience has not shown that any liberals are moving up here. Why are people moving to Idaho? Well, probably the same reasons you're thinking about it. Conservative values, outdoor lifestyle, all of the things, hunting, fishing, boating, hiking. We've got it all up here. And, decent cities to match it if you're into the shopping and all that stuff as well. So it's a big draw for a lot of people. And I think, the real common denominator is people are looking for a better place to raise their families because their values may not match up with where they're currently living. And some will say, well, just fix it. Well, yeah, it's kind of hard to fix it when you have these huge metropolises that are controlling the way the entire state votes. If you live in Washington and Seattle is dominating the politics, but you live in rural Washington and you're conservative, your vote is not going to matter, unfortunately, at the moment. Same in California, same in Oregon. So I think a lot of people are being driven here by that, trying to find that place that matches their values. It's worth noting property values here and kind of where they've gone over the last years, just to depress yourself, because you should have bought here 10 years ago, like I should have as well. Let's look at 2016 versus 2024. So 2016, the median single family home listing price in Idaho was approximately $260,000, which was close to the national media at that time, median. And that's for all of Idaho, right? Not just North Idaho. 2024. Typical home value in Idaho reached $450,000, which is 126% of the typical U.S. home price. It's jumped quite a bit, right? Because a lot of people are moving here. It's simple supply and demand. There is just not that much supply, and there's a great demand. That is just going to drive home prices up. It is unfortunate. Some are out there waiting for the bubble to pop. I personally don't think that's going to happen, at least in North Idaho, because there are a lot of people that still want to move here and realize the American dream because it's alive and well up here. And there's just not enough inventory. So builders are building at a high rate. You're getting a lot of new construction up here and the usual turnover as people move or pass on. But it's just not keeping up with the demand. So if that demand does not stop, home prices are going to continue to go up. You might be on the sidelines waiting and find yourself in a couple of years, crap, home prices are still going up and I should have bought 2 years ago. That's a reality. I'm not telling you what to do, but that's just my opinion. Obviously, you might think that I'm biased because I sell homes for a living. However, it's pretty simple when you look at it. Supply and demand is all that it is. Shocking number. Between 2014 and 2024, Idaho experienced a 155% increase in median home prices. In that 10-year period, wow. That is the highest growth rate among U.S. states. Must be a good place to live. Rental market here has gone up to match. It is tough to find reasonably priced rentals. I don't know if there are reasonably priced rentals anywhere in the U.S. that is a desirable place to live. Yeah, maybe places that are not desirable. Southside Chicago, I don't know. Probably pretty cheap over there. I wouldn't want to live there. So it's worth talking about the urban versus rural divide. These urban areas are filling up. I'm more tuned into the North Idaho market, obviously, because I live here. And you're looking at cities like Coeur d'Alene that are starting to go more vertical. Obviously, you can get into the outlying areas that are technically in the county, but a Coeur d'Alene address, and there may be some space there. But if you're looking at downtown Coeur d'Alene and you drive through right now, you're going to see multiple high-rise projects going up. Several are hotels. Yes, I understand that. There is a condo, and I guarantee there will be more to come because once it starts, it does not stop. So that's a good indicator that these urban areas are starting to fill up. Rurally, there is quite a bit of land available, but it is geographically limited here in North Idaho because we've got mountain ranges on all sides. Sometimes, and this is a good thing in my opinion, you see CC&Rs, which are covenants, codes, and restrictions, and that kind of dictate what you can do with the land on some of these rural properties that limit the amount that you can subdivide them. So they may not be subdividable at all, and then you're looking at 5 or 10 acres or more parcels that can never be subdivided. I think it's a great thing in my opinion because it keeps that land more wild, and it does limit our growth somewhat, which will help hopefully keep home prices stable. So as we talk about if Idaho is full or not, we have to talk about the infrastructure and growth concerns. Traffic congestion, is that a thing here? Well, in Boise it sure is, and Meridian, those are super populated right now. As we talked earlier, that population density is over 500 people per square mile. North Idaho is a lot lower, so we're not seeing that unless you grew up here. And now you see all the traffic lights and some traffic. It might drive you crazy. But I just had a client here recently who lives over near Seattle. He's conservative, don't worry. And he was commenting on 95 how there's like no traffic. And he told me that it takes him an hour to drive 16 miles to work where he currently lives. That blew my mind. You know, if you're from Southern California, that's pretty normal for you too, but that does not exist up here. They are increasing the roadway infrastructure. Obviously that takes time. I think it's a 10-year project to expand Route 90 from the Washington border all the way through Coeur d'Alene to 4 lanes in each direction. You know, there's a lot that goes into that, of course. It costs a lot of money and takes years to do, but that will help alleviate future growth problems, especially in that 90 corridor, because currently it's 2 lanes in each direction for the most part. And if you get a crash or something like that, it really slows down the roadway there. You know, we're seeing a lot of that growth on 41, 95, all of the major roadways, 53. They're expanding them, getting them ready. You know, maybe they're a little bit behind the curve on it, but nobody really saw this coming. So at least it's happening now, and that infrastructure is going to start catching up in the next few years. All right, are schools and healthcare keeping up? That's a good question. Maybe not. The schools are good up here in general, right? You're not dealing with a lot of the woke nonsense that you're hearing in other places, although hopefully that will change soon nationwide. But you are still dealing with communities that are not big on bonds. When you have people that are very libertarian by nature, generally they do not vote yes on any type of levy. Levy's the word I meant to say, because levies tend to be a function of bloated government. Mixed feelings on that, right? School levies can be important. Public safety levies can be important, especially when you are in a place where the population is growing at a rate that is faster than the current system and infrastructure can keep up with. So pay raises for public safety up here, or the pay scale is not great compared to a lot of other places, although the call volume is picking up because the population is increasing. So these things need to catch up. Sometimes that can be accomplished with levies. I don't know where you stand on that. Drop a comment, let me know. I'm curious. My mind can always be changed. So that's one thing we're dealing with. You know, these schools, I see a lot of the newer developments that are going, and part of the deal that the developer has with the city or county is that they have to put in schools in there as well. So that is happening, and that will help alleviate some of it. We also have a strong homeschool culture up here. So there are options, but it's definitely something to pay attention to. Same with healthcare. Kootenai Health is a great hospital. There's a hospital in Post Falls. You've got Spokane, Washington, not far away, that has some excellent facilities too. So you do see, you know, with the increased population, people are playing catch up a lot, and that includes the healthcare industry up here. So just something to keep in mind. Thankfully, we have backup over in Spokane, Washington, not far away. So if you do need specialty care that you cannot find on the Idaho side, it is less than 30 miles away. So that we're pretty fortunate in that regard that we have that here. All right, so what's the local perspective on people moving to Idaho, and is Idaho full? Well, if you judge that by stickers on people's windows, then Idaho might be full. I think the local population, I'm sure someone in here will chime in a very polite way, of course, and let me know. But, you know, if you talk to a local up here, there's mixed feelings. I think the best approach is to look at it as though it is happening no matter what, and it's important that we attract the right people to the area so that the culture does not change, because the culture up here is great the way it is. It's a fantastic community. People love it. That's why people want to come here. So if we can do it and grow in a responsible way, that really helps grow the community here, then I think that's a good thing. You know, you get a lot of extra benefits with the population growing. You get more restaurant choices, you get more things to do. But there's a flip side to that. With more people, laws tend to start to edge more liberal. And I think a lot of people are very cautious about that in today's age because they've seen what happens in these very large liberal cities. They tend to deteriorate into pretty unlivable conditions that none of us want. So there's a balance there. I may not be the guy that's smart enough to figure it out, but hopefully someone out there is, and we can find that together. So are the values of Idaho changing because of this? I would say no, not yet, at least not northern Idaho. I don't know about down south in the Boise area. That is a big city in all regards. Up here, we still have a very tight-knit community, though the population is in the greater area here, several hundred thousand, I guess a couple 100,000 or 175,000, whatever it is. And that includes Post Falls, Hayden, Rathdrum, Coeur d'Alene. You still bump into people that you know all the time. And you can still go into your favorite coffee shop and they're gonna know your name. So I think that culture is still hanging on, that small town feel that a lot of people come here for. It's a good mix. It's not so small that everybody knows your business, but it is small enough where you can recognize people at Costco and say hi and you know your neighbors and rely on other people. I don't think that's changing anytime soon because I feel like a lot of people that are moving here want to embody that. They want to get together with their neighbors and, you know, share food, break bread, all this stuff. So hopefully that will keep hanging on. And if you do move up here, go introduce yourselves, go get into the community, find things to do, get involved in politics. Let's keep this place exactly the way it is. So overall, is Idaho full? Well, I would say the urban areas are filling up pretty fast, but there's a lot of rural land left to move into. There's a lot of space left up here. Now, will that growth slow down? Is it just getting started? I think that'll depend a lot on the condition of the nation. I wake up every day and I'm very excited about the things that are going on in the federal government, but I also recognize that I think things are still going to get tougher before they get easier. Lots of waste and fraud are getting cut every day by DOJ, and that's exciting, but I feel like we've gone down a path for long enough that it's not going to be an easy fight. And if it's not an easy fight out there, I think people will still be driven to free states like Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Tennessee, so that they can raise their families and live out their lives in a place that matches their values. If the country gets through this quickly and really starts to better itself, and then maybe we get another 4 years of common sense and leadership, at least, then people may not be so inclined to move. Other states like California, Oregon, Washington, maybe that pendulum will swing back the opposite direction and they will get common sense leadership again, and people won't be so willing to get out of there. If that happens, then obviously the growth will slow down in places like Idaho. But I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen soon enough for a lot of people. You know, if I were living in Washington and I was looking at some of the ridiculous gun laws that were coming down the pipeline, I would be bugged by that and I would want to get out because I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So it's all about how you want to live your life and how other people want to live their lives and what that looks like. So I could go either way on that. I think we'll see because it's going to be a slow move, but I think that will come top down from what is going on with the country as a whole. So if you are thinking about moving to Idaho, what do you need to know? There's a lot. First step, you know, obviously if you're watching our videos, you get a lot of information from that, hopefully. It should be relevant, fairly accurate, funny. That's cool. Follow us on social media. Get on our website, northidahoexperience.com. We are on all social media platforms, at least the important ones, not TikTok. Yeah. But we're out there, you know, see what we're doing. We're local experts in this. We all have a first responder or veteran background or both. We love to serve. So if you're wondering or you have questions, the best thing to do is shoot us an email, call, text, whatever, and just reach out. Even if you're not looking to move for like a year or more, let's have the conversation. Usually we jump on a video call with people or email, whatever you're comfortable with, and we can get a lot of those questions answered and hopefully help you decide if it's the right place, because that's the first step. We're never going to try to sell you on anything. A lot of it is just trying to figure out if it's the right move for you and your family and if you're a good fit for the community. So we have fired people. We're not afraid to do that because it's important to us. We love it up here. We want to keep it the way that it is. So if you're thinking about that, give us a call, text, or email. and let's just have a conversation, see where it goes, see if we're a good fit to work together. And if so, we would love to help you make that smooth move right here to North Idaho. See ya.